but there's just so many, ways in which Sid would point to truth and keep pointing in a deeper way. I mean, one of the things that he would talk about is the oneness. I loved how he would talk about the oneness of life, and how everything is just, there's one mind. There's just one mind, and we're all connected to that one mind. It's just that we don't think we're connected. And what if we all saw how connected we were to each other in feeling, not just feeling, but in the truth of that one connection. If we saw that, you couldn't hurt another person because you'd be feeling like you were hurting yourself.
I think we do. I can't really describe this very well, but it's that I think we all know in our bones everything that Sid points to. So I think we know the feeling of, like, we know the feeling of oneness. Every one of us has felt at least one moment where we have felt at one and at peace with the world. That's that feeling of oneness. That, I don't know, I was thinking the example of cuddle up with one of the kids on the sofa watching TV, and all of a sudden there's no you, there's no them, there's just oneness. We know oneness. We just don't appreciate it. We don't understand it. We don't give it enough value. We don't appreciate it, what it is.
Yeah, we don't act like it matters.
Yeah, and then to my mind, what Sid does is kind of, his work points us to what we already have going for us, what we already are, how our lives already work. And there's nothing new here to learn about, so that you can do it differently in a way. It's just that when you already know that feeling of oneness, you know the oneness, you know that you create a reality through thought, because sometimes you don't. So you know it, but it's like you don't know it. It's almost like when you know how to ride a bike, but you couldn't tell anyone else how. You know that. You know the gift of consciousness, like you wouldn't have a life if you didn't. So you already know it. You just don't know about it. I don't know, does that make sense? So what he's pointing to, what he's teaching us, is about something we already know, all of us.
Well, I agree with you that we already know it, because I mean, we get woken up to what we already know, but you have to be woken up to live it. It's like we know it, but we don't live it. Like Sid lived it because he knew it, because he was woken up to it. Somebody woke him up, or not somebody woke him up, but somebody said something to him and he woke up. He woke up, he just woke up. And then he tried to wake everybody else up, and he didn't realize how hard that was, waking people up.
Yeah.
But I think that you have to, when you're right, I think we know everything, and we can resonate with it. But we have to, in order to live it, you have to be awake to it. Just like I woke up and about moods, I woke up and it was like, when I woke up to my moods, it was like, oh, they've just been jerking me around. That's just been a big, movie in my head, about how scary moods are. And that was just, I don't know what the deal was with that. I don't know why I thought it was such a big deal to have a bad mood. I don't know why it scared me the way it did. It was just a big fantasy I had, and I don't know why I was fooled. See, that's what happened when I woke up to moods. It's like they no longer had a hold of me. And I think that's what happens when people wake up, is that they're their reality or so-called reality, their personal reality stops having a hold on them.
Yeah, like my 24/7 thinking about migraines disappeared off into
Yeah.
the ether when I saw I can take care of it then.
Stopped having a hold on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it happens different ways. Like you said, sometimes it's an insight that you know what it is, and sometimes you change and you have no idea what happened.
That's
just-
my favorite kind. That's the
Yeah.
magic. I
Yeah.
love the mystery magic. It's like
Yeah.
I have no idea how that happened, and I'm left with a feeling of awe and delight and gratitude.
Yeah. It's like touch magic. Touch magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get touched by Sid and magic happens. Or you get touched by not Sid. It's not personal to Sid. It's you get touched by what he's pointing to that you see. You get touched by that, and then magic happens.
Yeah, and it looks like your life is changed on the outside, but it isn't. It's a change on the inside that creates a different experience of, like, it creates laughter in people instead of tears and grumps. Like that's what appears in front of your eyes, like heartedness and laughter instead of teenage upset. And that just, like, again demonstrates to you your experience is being created by thought. You literally creating happy children instead of creating sad children. It's not that you've got the same children, but you're thinking about them differently. You create a different child through thought than you were doing a moment ago at a different level of consciousness. It's an inside out job. You're just conjuring up a different child through thought than you were yesterday.
Yeah, and you go, they changed, but not really. You changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's magic. That's like magic. And it leaves you in awe of my goodness, no, really, it's inside out.
But sometimes I wonder what it must have been. I can't imagine how frustrating it must have been for Sid. Because he understood that. He really understood what you just said. That there's nothing out there and it's you change and then the world changes. He really understood that. And he would say that to me. He'd say, there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. And I'd be like, well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, really, that would be my reaction. I wouldn't say that to him, but in my mind, I'd be saying, I don't know about that. It seems like there's something out there to me. But he'd say there's nothing out there. And that was his experience, what you just said. It's like when you change inside, you change people. When you change inside, you change the people in your life. They change. And you think they changed, but it's really you changed. And that's such a mind-boggling thing.
It's because they're made of thought, right? So it's like how they're conjured up in this smoke cloud of thought, and they look a certain way, and then you have a shift in consciousness. It's like the machine sucks the smoke back in and then blows it out, but different. It's all thought. And Sid had, as far as I know, for that 4 minutes or whatever, Sid like really realized the truth of that. There's nothing here. I remember that there was an opening of one of the London conferences, and I think it was Shaul, and or Aaron, I can't remember, but one of them opened up the conference and they said that there's mind, thought, and consciousness, and that's all. And that really hit me. Like, there is nothing else. And Sid saw the truth of that. I guess in a way that I can't, like obviously my tiny mind can't get my head around that. But he saw the truth of the fact that mind, thought, consciousness is all. Like dancing around, playing this game, this huge illusion of life. And then all his attempts to point to that is what conjures up magic in our lives because it's true. When our soul hears truth, it like resonates with that.
Here's another interesting, kind of akin to what you started talking about. Hannah Rosenblatt has been putting the missing link into Hebrew. And she said that she really has to think about it, how to get the words right to so the feeling comes across of what it's trying to say as best she can. And she said that it's been one of the most incredible things she's ever done, because she's taken the whole book and she's basically reflected on it, passage by passage by passage. And she says it's just really changed her. She didn't intend for it to change her. She intended to make the book into Hebrew. But so she didn't have any ideas about what would happen to her, but it changed her doing that.
Yeah.
And in ways that, she can't make a direct connection. Like you, it just, you were different. She was different after she did it.
So I think if people could get on board with the mystery of it, I don't know, I don't have any idea how this works. I don't know. All I know is the way that I've been doing this previously is not helpful. And it's kind of like you have to see that it's not helpful, because you have to read Sid 1,000,000 times and then get annoyed because he's not doing it for you. And then you give up, and one day just like you pick it up and you're not doing it that way, and you let the magic come up from the pages and rewire your brain when you're not looking.
Yeah.
But it's a mystery, and to try and understand it so that you can make it happen is to miss the point of it. But to sit and read, like, it's like if someone gave you a magic book and said, like, read this book and you'll lose 3 stone, right? But it does it by magic. But there are 10 people over here, and look, they read the book and they lost 3 stone. It's just magic. You just read the book, it's magic. It does its thing by magic. And that's just too incredible to believe, right? That could happen. But you kind of, there's magic in the book, and that's what makes the 3 stone disappear. It's like to open a book and just be present with it, or to listen or watch something that sits and be open to magic happening through some mysterious, which we're kind of trying to describe how that happens. When I consider it that way, it lets my tiny mind know that it's not required here. Like, I would read the missing link, not like how Hannah's reading it. I would read the missing link and look at every concept, and I think about it. And think, what, like he says, the big mind and the little mind, like, do I agree with that? What do I think about that? Is that, oh, that's beautiful, I like that, I don't like that, that makes sense to me, that doesn't make sense to me. Let me think about that sentence, which isn't reflection, that's thinking about something. And as a result, come away with some really cool ideas and some nice things to say, but not changed. And the same with Second Chance. Like, I would read the book and try and get the moral of the story, or what's he trying to say, or where are the nuggets of wisdom that he's dropped in the text, like see if I can spot them. But this was just picking up and not looking for anything.
And I think that's what's confounding, is that you get it when you're not looking for it.
Yeah.
And people read it looking for something, of course they do. That makes sense, but you get it when you're not looking.
And that's true of everything that we're all looking for in life. Like, happiness arrives when but ideas, creative ideas happen when you're not looking. Peace of mind arises when, and the more reference experiences you get from that, like, oh, that happened, like I tried and I tried and I tried and then I gave up and then it happened. Number of references experience you get from that, there's something that means that you kind of onto yourself when you find yourself looking. Because it's not like you know that you're not going to find it. Well, you do it anyway. But there's no traction here. There's no
figuring out. It's like,
no.
That's things that gets in the way of people when they listen to Sid, is they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out what he's saying, or what it means, or put it in some kind of context or some kind of implication. And so it's all the figuring that people do when they listen to Sid. That's something, I think, in a way, you have to learn to listen to Sid.
Yeah.
You have to learn not to figure it out. You have to learn how to stop figuring and then listen.
But you're right with something you said earlier with, when we do get really impacted by it, like that experience on Sunday, and we share that with people get curious and they go listen. And then if just like two of those people hear something at some point in their lifetimes and they share that with other people, it's like the R number with the virus, right? It's like, one person shares it and two more people hear out of everyone they speak to, and those two people share it and two people hear from them. But it's
when people like you say, this happened to me, I was this way and then I was that way, and it was because I read this book and it doesn't make sense, but all of a sudden I'm different, and they believe you. See, you have credibility. And I think that people resonate with somebody if they're telling the truth. Somebody's telling the truth for their experience. People resonate with that. They go, yeah, I believe her. I believe what she's saying is true. And they go, okay, well, if she read that book or listened to that recording and it happened to her, then maybe something could happen to me.
That's why I think the ripple effect of all of you who had the chance to hang out with Sid and were all, those of you that I know that tell your story, were all profoundly impacted in the way I was on Sunday. You had changes in your life happen as a result of that. Like that group of you, as you've shared your stories really generously everywhere, then all of like the next people down kind of get a curiosity about, well, what's like, how did that happen? Like what like you know, I went to Salt Spring, I listened to this man speak, I came back, I was different. People are like, how did that happen? And then they're curious and they go to Salt Spring and they listen to Sid, and so the cycle goes.
Mhm.
But that's how,
You know, it's funny because we
right?
granted. In other words, at first it was just, you got to be kidding me. How does this happen without a technique or a process, a structure? How does this happen without a structure? And then we just got used to it. It's just it didn't bother, it didn't seem like a miracle anymore. It just seemed like matter of fact. It became very matter of fact to us that you would listen to Sid, and you just listen, and you get affected, because it just became a whole different way of learning that we just kind of adapted to. But at first we were like, no, people don't learn this way. You don't learn by just, you don't change by just listening to somebody. You have to do something. You don't just listen and get affected. You have to do something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that, you know, that bit was that bit was startling and confounding and confusing. And then as we saw the results, you see the results. As you see the results, you kind of fall into the understanding of it. And, you know, you're looking to how you just accept that that's the way it is. It's like a new way of learning, of listening and being impacted. So that's what it is. You listen and you're impacted. You listen and you're impacted. And it was, you know, we just, so now when we're not, other people are kind of, when people come in and they're disturbed by that process of just listening and being impacted, you know, they're looking for something to do or they're trying to figure it out. It's like, it always kind of surprise. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I was that way too. It really bothered me that I couldn't figure out how to do it. No, you don't figure out how to do it. You just, and I forget that most people have to go through the same thing that I went through.
Mm.
I mean, it's all these pitfalls, you know,
Yeah.
that I went through. Everybody goes through, or not everybody, but most people.
You know what I'm going to do when I send these videos out, I'm going to put a link to one of the Sid videos below each of these. So when people, they'll listen to us speaking and then they'll have an opportunity to go listen to Sid again and see if it lands different.
Yeah. And I, you know, it's, you know, Sid would always say, because somebody would, you know, that I'd bring to the island that I'd feel really needed to hear Sid. And I thought maybe they could really help Sid, you know, get the message out. And they wouldn't hear anything, they wouldn't be affected. And I get down about it, you know, and I asked Sid, I said, why do some people hear and other people don't? He said, it's just a matter of when people are ready. When they're ready to hear, they'll hear. But that doesn't exclude the practice of, or the habit of listening to him. Because at some point, if you keep listening, you'll be ready to hear. And I think people have an idea about time and, well, I should have heard by now, or I should have gotten something by now, but my advice to people, just keep listening.
Mm.
Whether you hear something or not, just keep listening. Can't hurt. It's not going to hurt you.
Yeah. So as we come to the end of this little series, aside from just keep listening, what would be your closing statement, I guess? Like, what would you love people to take away from this?
Oh, besides just keep listening to Sid, if you want to change, Well, what I don't say to people is what I'd like to say is, if you're gonna, you keep listening without, keep listening without wanting anything.
Right.
Keep listening without wanting anything.
Yeah, I think that's so helpful, because if you're listening and not getting anything, chances are it's just because you're listening because you want something. So
And
you
that's
know why you're not getting anything.
and that's such a conundrum,
Yeah.
It's such a conundrum. Because I know I've had some people that were sent here mandated by business because they were so disruptive. And I couldn't, it's like they were really hard for me to handle, to get my arms around them, psychologically, And I had them listen to Sid, and boy, they got hit like a ton of bricks. They weren't looking for anything, they just basically were, they had to come because they were forced to come by their company. That's what I mean by mandated. And I had them and listened and said, "Would you mind listening to this man?" And they said, "Sure, I'll listen." They were cooperative.
Yeah.
Sure. And then I told them how to listen. I said, it would be best if you listen to Sid, like you would listen to music. Just listen. Like, when you listen to music, you're not really trying to get anywhere. You're just enjoying the music. You're not trying to learn anything from the music. You're not trying to get anything from the music. You're listening to music because it's enjoyable to do. I said, that's the way you want to listen to Sid, like you would listen to music. Not try to figure it out or get anywhere, just listen. So I told them, both of them, I said, that's how I want you to listen. They were very good at instructions. Both of them were very good at instructions, even though they were very disruptive to their coworkers. They were very good at instructions. And so they both got hit like a ton of bricks in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Well, I hope if nothing else, this exploration we've been doing has made people more curious to go back and have another listen, right? Like if you've listened and discarded and said, "Oh, that's not for me," you might be curious to see what you hear next time. Having listened to us talk about him, you might have.
And I so appreciate you doing this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing.
I think that's really important.
I know, but you're doing it.
Mm.
Nobody else is doing this. You're doing it. And I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, don't you make me cry. Thank you.